Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee, who have been with us from the very beginning. That is several years now. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. In fact, you are the people I start my day off with. Anyway, also want to give big thanks to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his voice, his music, and his time for the intro that you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind our logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the Halloween and horror genre, but does amazing commission pieces of any type. So tonight we welcome back dear friend Darryll Walsh, and we're going to be talking about the origins and traditions of Halloween. People love this stuff. It is crazy. It's just so much information on it. And I don't think people realize sometimes just how far back it goes and what the roots are, and right down to how many countries around the world celebrate it, how many do not, how they celebrate it. It's just a lot of fun. So in the meantime, hello, Wayne, you are here early. Look at you go. All right, Vet Girl, hello. Working our way down. Go Folgers. Yeah, you bet. Hello, Patsy. Hello, Kat. Hello. Oh my goodness. Okay, working down. Hello, Kathy. So nice to see you guys all here. Janie. Hello, Janie. Boy, Adrian. Hello. So I'm just want to make sure I don't miss anybody before we bring our guest on. So without further ado, just making sure Darryll is good to go. Yes, good to go, Darryll. Yeah, okay, here we go. Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
Welcome
back.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's always a lot of fun when you come on. Never know what's going to happen. So it's just I love it. It's one of the things I love about it. So, 'tis the season, right? It's a great time of the year. Some people will tell you, I mean, I've always said, for me, it's a lifestyle. It's not just this holiday. Yeah. But if I had to choose a holiday, I have to say, it would be my favorite.
There's so many memes that for both July and August and September, they'll have like Michael Myers and Freddy, and they're just leaning, and they're having drinking something, and they're in the heat, and they're just waiting until Halloween comes, right?
Yeah. It's like the skeleton at the computer waiting for Halloween.
Yeah, and you get the memes that says if you put anything up in September,
Yeah. And don't dare put up Christmas decorations in the store before Halloween, right?
Yeah. But, people like us, I mean, as soon as September comes, okay, I can start to decorate for Thanksgiving because we have it on the second week of October.
That's right.
So with the second week Monday in October. So I actually have a nice tree that has all gold leaves. And yeah, so I've got lots of stuff that I can put around. And of
Yeah.
course, that's just for Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving, that's the basis for Halloween. All I got to do then is
Yeah.
pull out, the witches and the
Yeah.
ghosts and
It's
all
so
that.
simple though, isn't it? Isn't it great that you
Yeah.
can just keep rolling? We have like a lot of great stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, just make it a 2-month thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Christmas. I can't see just decorating the day before
Yeah.
or a week before, because
Yeah.
you can't get into the season unless
That's right.
everything is there. And then, when things calm down, hopefully, but just before Christmas,
Yeah.
then you can appreciate it, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So how do you decorate your tree? Like, do you get into all the like ancient stuff, or like I am always torn because I love ancient anything. I love the history. I love the folklore. I love this, all the old of everything. And as much as I get into the commercialized side of thing, because there's so much cool stuff that comes out every year, you just get
yeah.
your eyes like, oh yeah, this is like Christmas for us, you know. But how do you do yours? Like, is it traditional or is it?
I change it every year.
Yeah,
And there's been a couple years were not good years over the last 6 years or so after Mom died.
yeah,
And so one of the trees I threw out because that was so bad. It was such a bad Christmas. I just
yeah,
threw the tree out because it was going to symbolize that, right? And I got a white one
sure.
instead.
Nice.
And it all depends. I like the old fashioned, even if they're just made in the 20th or 21st century, but I
Yeah,
like the old stuff that,
yeah,
but, and I do like the balls. I never quite know where I'm going to go. And
yeah,
sometimes mid-season, I'll take everything down and redo the tree.
yeah, right.
It's like, nope, that's not working for me.
I know, it's just messing with my chi.
Yeah, yeah. I'll go
Yeah,
to Walmart and they'll have like 3 different types, and I'm thinking I want all of them actually,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'll do that. And so, it's kind of funny sometimes if I have friends or associates come in, they wait, wasn't your tree?
yeah, right. It's just like, wait a minute, start questioning your own reality. And yeah, I love that. I love
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. No,
So,
I love it too.
yeah, it's a great time of year, and it makes
Yep.
you, reflect a lot. I don't think people realize. I think some people figure it is just the commercial side of things,
Yeah,
but it's really not. It's got deep, deep, dark roots too.
yeah. Both of them actually, Halloween and Christmas.
Yes, yeah,
They both have. In fact, I found some new information. I used to teach about Halloween at the community college and also at libraries, and it was fairly long and everything. But then I
yeah,
did some more research for this and found, oh my God, I don't know everything about it, which is good because I that's what I love to know. I love to know new things about it, so now I can
yes,
add this to my thing. But then
yes.
after I had all my new notes put out, and
Yeah.
I started on Christmas.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have to
yeah,
save Christmas for Christmas.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, Halloween goes back thousands of years.
Yes.
It's breathtaking, and I'm not talking the Celtic. I'm talking way before them. And so
Wow.
we're talking the people who did Stonehenge, and which is before the Celts and the Druids. They never
Mhm.
went near Stonehenge. But we're talking about either the people of Stonehenge or even before,
Mhm.
So we're getting up to, that was 5,000, 6, 7. We're talking 7,000 years ago, just with
Wow.
Stonehenge. And then if you go, if they were around a little bit earlier. So Halloween, or a celebration of this change that we are coming right to, very fast too, the 31st of October.
Mhm.
Everybody decided November 1st was a new year. And it didn't matter if you were Roman, if you were Celtic or whatever. Everybody decided that the October 31st was going to be a special day. Now, but this was before Christianity even got involved. So there was always celebrations and sometimes human sacrifices that always happened. And probably if Stonehenge did have any religious connection, and it's funny because archaeologists, if they don't know what the thing is about, they'll say it's either ritual or religion. And Stonehenge, they think, has to do with astronomy, but nobody knows because nobody wrote it down. They didn't write things down. So so then the Celts come around, and it's they do. It's the end of harvest. I mean, you don't do. There's nothing coming out of the ground in November, and it's winter time coming. And sometimes they call it midwinter, which is kind of funny because it's way too early. But so it's harvest time, and they want to celebrate. So they have this party and everything, and that's how it went for a very long time.
So Samhain, essentially.
Yes, but that didn't start. The Samhain didn't start until probably about 4,000 years ago. And so they decided that they were going to do, that's what we know anyway, I should say. We know about them, 4,000 years ago. We were guessing about the other ones. They also had human sacrifices, and they did have Wicker Men, if you know the two movies.
Tell us about it for those who don't know. But it's not just the movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. It's about, there are two of them. One's 1972, and the other one has Nicolas Cage, and I think it's 2000. I'll say 2010, give or take a couple years. But what it's about is there was a murder, and a policeman has to come to the island. Now, they're very insular on that island. They don't like the fact of an outsider coming in. So, of course, they're giving him a very hard time and everything. And they throw a bit of a romantic thing in there, more so in Nicolas Cage than they do for the original one, which was Edward Woodward, who went on to do The Equalizer on TV and was the ghost of Christmas Present in my favorite Christmas Carol, 1984 with George C. Scott. So anyway, he's the policeman, and he's doing all this, and nobody's telling him anything like that. And he starts to find out that there's they do weird things. He hears weird things, and so anyway, eventually, I never have finished watching the movie. I just started because I didn't like either one of them, but generally, I think, one time, he ended up in The Wicker Man, if I'm not mistaken. And so he failed in his thing to find out who the murderer was. And I don't remember who the murderer was. So that's good for the people that are watching.
No spoiler alerts.
They can get the movie and tell us who the original murderer was and what really happened. So,
So Wicker Man is a thing, or was a thing. That's a belief. So what is the origin of Wicker Man?
Well, it's funny. I talk when they refer to it. They always say, very often they call it a Wicker Man, and it's not quite a man, but it was a way to get rid of criminals and maybe mentally unbalanced people. And so I'm not sure how long that went for, but they made it in a human shape, and therefore it became a ritual. It became a symbol of man and the worst kind of man.
Almost sounds like a tulpa, like they.
So they put the worst kind of men and some women inside the Wicker Man and set it on fire, of course, and this kind of thing. So, or maybe it was people that came onto the island, or people they might have had a fight with, or some people.
If you were an outsider, you were fair game, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a countdown. As soon as your foot touches the land, there's a countdown till you're going to end up with a very
Yeah.
hot ending.
A date with
So
an effigy. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. It gets so crazy. In and around that time, when we mention like November 1st, that's
Yeah.
deemed a new year. Is that like the real calendar, or is that like the 13-month calendar, or is this like the 12-month calendar? Because that sure would make a little bit of sense, wouldn't it?
It would, because it's funny. The Romans also celebrated November 1st. So
Mhm.
the Christians, the Romans, and the Celts
Day of
all
the Dead.
thought that November 1st was the start of a new year, a new time.
Mhm.
Now the Romans did, but I looked up they had a festival called, I don't want to say it bad, so I'm going to check on mode. Feralia. Yeah, I never can pronounce it. Feralia.
Right.
And so anyway, that was their customary thing, to have a celebration, appreciate the fact that the New Year's was beginning, the harvest was done, and people that are friends, they
Yeah.
and then there are also those that follow us around that are long gone. And so anyway, I looked it up, and now it's in February. So it obviously was the calendar obviously changed. And so it went from November 1st back to February 22nd, I think. Somebody to look it up and correct us, I'm sure.
That's crazy. I mean, because on November 1st, because that was the festival where they would honor the dead, and technically
Yeah,
November 1st
exactly.
is the Day of the Dead, right?
Yep.
Los Muertos, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Yeah, and it is in
crazy.
so many cultures.
Yes.
November 1st starts the new year. And
Mm.
it's sort of like the Chinese or the other
Yeah.
people that have, Orthodox that have a new
Their
year.
own New Year's. Yeah.
New Year's that what's
Mhm.
now the Epiphany for
Mhm.
Christianity. And I always say keep everything up to the old Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And on the old Christmas Eve, I rewatch all the Christmas carols. And so I make it, I always get depressed on Christmas Day. So
Mhm.
I make it so that there's something every year. I haven't quite finished it yet, but
Mhm.
I'm going to have it so that there's something special on the old Christmas Eve
Right.
to match that
Yeah.
excitement that you get on the original Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
So and every year, this is the first year I can actually have a good Halloween.
That's
I'll tell you,
good.
if Elliot doesn't make me work that, because we have the paranormal symposium on November 1st,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping he does not want me anytime in the evening, because I want to get into the whole day,
Yeah.
get into the spirit. Now, the years went by. I had done a TV show. Dad then was sick, and then he died of leukemia. Then I had to take care of my mother for 10 years. So on Christmas Day, Christmas Day as well, but also on Halloween, she would, give out. And so I had to sit and wait, you know,
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's
and
tough.
and then go downstairs when it was essentially all over.
Mhm.
And if you're going to watch a movie where they're going to attack people going around for Christmas or for Halloween, you
Mhm.
don't start that when everybody's gone. You want to have it when everybody's actually doing it.
Mhm.
So you hear people on the steps, or you hear people
Mhm.
talking on the street as they go by. And I miss that because I'm living in a glorified hotel here in this apartment. And
Mhm.
yeah. So, and then I, had somebody, a partner, and I think because he was autistic, so who the hell knows what we were to each other.
Right.
Um, I still don't know at this point. And
Mm.
so anyway, he ended up having a paranoid psychotic break and was
Mhm.
removed here by policemen and firemen. And so, yeah, all of a sudden, which I haven't quite got over yet, actually,
Mhm.
so it's interesting. I've gone into a deep depression, and it's just hard for me to think that this is mine now.
Yes.
And but same with so now Halloween, I've got nobody to bug me.
It's all
And
yours, Darryll. It's all yours.
yes, I already warned Elliot
Halloween is
last
yours to take.
Yep.
Yeah.
Already told Elliot last night when we were I was doing cryptozoology, and I was doing folklore of forest workers and lumbermen, and what kind
Very
of
nice.
cryptid monsters do they have?
Mhm.
And so anyway, we got talking about Halloween, of course. And so I said that I gave him kind of a warning shot that, I don't want to work on. I'll come in early on, I keep saying Christmas Day on November 1st,
Yeah.
but, for the symposium, and I'll work early maybe of Halloween.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking by 2:00, it's my time.
Yeah.
And because it's 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
So I don't know quite what I'm going to do. I'll have movies, of course. I'll have to have a special cake or something. Maybe I can get my sister to make me a cake. She's an awesome one for my birthday on June 4th. So maybe I get her to do a cake. I should tell her now, give her a lot of notice.
I think having like foodies and a good movie.
Yeah,
Just
maybe a nice liqueur or something.
There you go. Yeah.
Not the usual hard stuff you have during the year, but something maybe you don't have.
Yeah.
Triple sec, something that's chocolate or whatever. And that's the kind of thing something different to sip on. And it can be wine for some people, or it can be whatever that they don't usually get. And so I've got the chocolate cake, I've got the triple sec perhaps, because that will remind me of 1983, the best year of my life. And so I'll have that, and the movies are on, it's quiet, and this year, yes.
Keep your fingers crossed. There's a question for you. When did Halloween become a big deal for children? I mean, we could jump into that, and then maybe we can get into some Victorian stuff and just, there's a lot of cool stuff. The old jack-o'-lantern traditions. And so, do you know when did it become a really big deal on this side of the world for the kids?
On this side of the road, not. Okay, I have to tell you about the other side of the road.
Yeah, let's all start there, Adrian. We'll get to you.
I have to tell you about the Halloween we know.
Yes.
And so anyway, the Halloween, sometimes had human sacrifices, but not always. Mostly, what they had a whole program that they had to do for the dead, to honor the dead, but also keep the dead the hell away from them.
Right.
So what they would do is put out the fire. Everybody in the town would put out their fires in the hearth. And they would take a stick that they had lit on fire prior to doing this, obviously. And everybody would walk up to the highest hill, and they would create a bonfire. So the idea was the Lord of the Dead could not, or the dead, because they believed the dead, everybody that died that year, October 31st, they could come back. And they thought if everybody's house was, dark, and there's this big bonfire, they'd come to the bonfire and not hang around the house. So the bonfire maybe they have human sacrifice. Maybe they'd have some kind of wicker man or whatever. The belief was then the Lord of the Dead would show up and take all the dead to the other world. So then they would relight their sticks and put out the bonfire, go back to their houses and light them up. So, or not the houses, obviously, the hearth of their, chimneys. So anyway, that's when the children obviously would be first brought in. Now, it was quite a bit. Then the Romans came, and they didn't like the human sacrifices, so they said, no. And then they made their November 1st, whatever I called it. And so anyway, it was that. And then you have to get to Christianity. And Christianity, of course, wanted to override everything that was pagan.
All Saints Day.
Yep. So
Yeah.
they made November 1st All Saints Day, but they made November 2nd All Souls Day. And I would think it should be the opposite. If you're going to honor the dead, do it on the day everybody else did. So you wipe it, you know, because nobody knows who the saints are. They did make saints out of, you know, pagan people that were worshipped. But still, I would have put it the other way around.
Well,
you know?
All Souls Day is the big ones, I think, because it also like All Hallowmas, right? Which means All Saints Day. But you're right. Yeah, I think that most people call it All Souls Day.
Yeah, you know, so it, we honor the dead just like everybody else has for thousands of years, and we're still doing it everywhere. So, of course, Christianity came over, you know, in the 1600s. You know, when North America was first discovered. And so, you know, the first Thanksgiving went very well with the indigenous people. And then the disease took care of 90% of them. So anyway, that's why people don't like certain movies in the alien universe, like not conclave, whatever it was, because they go out into a new planet and they're completely just in their normal clothes and nothing on their, you know, face or anything. It's like, oh God, you contaminate everything, or you could get killed by everything, right? And you watch War of the Worlds. So anyway, what happened was the Irish were the ones who really got into this. And so anyway, the Irish obviously started this about celebration on October 31st. And Thanksgiving was moved. I should have looked that up. Was moved into November. But there was a reason why. It wasn't a particularly smart reason, I didn't think. But there was a reason why they moved it to November. And I can see now how it worked out very well, because it's the beginning of the Christmas season and everybody goes out and walks over people to get some little thing that, you know, their child wants. But in the first ones, you know, they actually used turnips.
Yes.
They would cut up turnips.
Not easy to cut a turnip.
You know what? My 102-year-old aunt, who is still alive.
Wow.
She cuts kernels, turnips like it's easy peasy. You know, I would cut up, I don't know, a carrot, something like that. If I start to do it, both hands, right? I got the butcher knife, like the horror film, and when I take it out, I make sure it makes that sound. I make sure I rub it against something that makes the sound. I've done that for 40 years.
The theatrics, eh? Yeah, everything's got to be dramatic.
Yeah, I got to be. You know, I'm a horror, and friends have said that. Or in fact, what the hell? You're just. They think I'm crazy, and that's fine because I look for ghosts. I mean, what could be crazier than that?
Yeah.
So then I take the, you know, and I'm, and she just, you know, and I'm thinking, oh my God, okay, time to do a little bit of a workout or something.
Yeah.
Which I do, but obviously not enough if my 102-year-old aunt can do it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So anyway, it came over with the Irish and their turnips, and obviously they could, you know, make a jack-o'-lantern out of a turnip. Which
that's how it was.
I would be unable to do.
Yeah.
So eventually, somebody thought a turnip was too small, because a lot of them are small, and they're not even the big ones really aren't good for this kind of thing. So they thought, well, let's try, you know, I keep wanting to say turnip when I want to say, you know,
pumpkin.
Thank you.
I got your back, Darryll. I got your back.
If I think don't screw this up or don't forget the word, I will forget the word. Right. But if I just go at it and don't have time to question myself, then I'll do it okay. But if I question myself, I don't. So they said, okay, we're going to do it in a pumpkin.
Mm.
And doing a pumpkin's a messy job. I mean, it really is. It looks so good afterwards, and some people put horns on it, which is really cool. I'm not quite sure how they do it, but
They're creative.
like I said, I was looking at it,
Right.
and and it looked really cool. Hey, that's my kind of pumpkin.
So why would they like the jack-o'-lantern?
Why do they light it?
There's a history to it, right? It's like 18th century, like Irish folklore or something, isn't it? Like there's some story behind it. Yeah.
It comes from the Irish folklore, and they believe they put the light, in a sense, it was still, because they're so Celtic, in a sense, it represented the bonfire from, 2,000 years ago. And just whether they did that consciously or unconsciously, that's essentially what they were doing, having something lit and a light, over Halloween. And so of course, everybody else then copied it because it looked so good. But they essentially brought their folklore. And the cool thing is they brought it, essentially brought it here. And we jumped right onto it, of course. And of course, we had the Scottish, the Irish, the German, the English, the French, and we had fights, of course, among everybody. And because English and French just can't get along, as well as Indigenous. So, it was slower to go. And although in the 18th and 19th centuries, it was around, but it was kind of spotty. It really wasn't until the early 20th century that it started to become a bit of a celebration. And so much that it became a thing, like many things are just things that maybe like Orthodox Christians with old Christmas, nobody really makes a thing about it.
Yeah.
But when the last book of Harry Potter came out, and I ordered it as well, there was this buzz about, the Deathly Hallows, and everybody was going to get it on July 7th, roughly around 1:00, So anyway, it was a societal thing like Christmas or something. So same thing happened with the with Halloween. They changed it from Samhain or Samhain.
Samhain.
Yep. Yeah. They, so many different different ways it's been pronounced, and my apologies for saying it wrong.
It's all right. No one's holding it against you.
That's it. I'm off. Okay. Wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway, then they got rid of that, and of course they Americanized it and made it into a cultural thing, and then of course it became. They didn't decorate so much outside or anything like that. And I remember Halifax in 1997 and 2000. No, was it before Mom or after Mom? Yeah, before Mom. So this is roughly late 90s. And I was walking and there wasn't a lot of things going on. So the next few years, I made sure I overdid it. With lights in the trees in front of the house and big signs. And, I really went to town, and my neighbor 2 doors down, which would come to become Mom and I's best friend in a few years. She was doing it as well. And I was wondering, and it started, right? So it started on the street. And I was wondering now when is this going to become a thing and hit critical mass? It did it within 2 years. Within 2 years, it spread just about, at least in the West End area and into the north. And so I don't know how long it took for a whole Halifax, but I'm going to say that I was the one that started it off because I was upset. I was going for my walk and I wanted, the leaves and everything are down and I wanted to kind of get into the Halloween spirit. And it's like, no, very few people had done something. So anyway, so I managed to get it to do that. So, but anyway, that's how it got to us to the end. But I mean, there's just so many things in between that because things didn't just easily, start. Of course, when the Romans, they had to try to, excuse me, take over, the Celts and what they believed. And of course, the Celts didn't like them at all anyway. Very few actually became Romano-British, as it's called. The British who took, went with the Romans.
Yeah.
And then, but they did. And then the Romans left. And so then that kind of the belief then spread. They were having it already, but it eventually became, then the Christians, of course, came over. So they really accelerated that change from just having a celebration of the end of the year and the harvest and the new year and what that would bring. And they had certain things about you could do to see whether or not who you would marry. And all these a lot of superstitions we still have today can be traced back to the Celts, and we're talking 4,000 years ago. It must have started. And so the Christians came over, and that was fine. They just made All Saints Day, All Saints Day, and All Souls Day.
It's like Wayne said, if the church looked at Halloween as Devil's Night, of course, and they would counter that with
now
All
the
Saints
interesting
Day or
thing,
All Souls Day.
Hallows means holy. So what Hallows Eve? It's the day before the Holy Day. So the Christians also thought October 31st was something as well. They were prepared. They would have, feasts and stuff like that, because the next day they had to be very, 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 very quiet and, prim and proper, like they do when they went to church. So eventually, October 31st became Hallows Eve and became Halloween. And so their October 31st, getting ready for All Saints Day, became this whole thing that, part of this whole thing that now is Halloween. And the thing was, it did not continue. It just kind of filtered out, or it didn't completely stay all the way. It was when the Irish came with it, the rest of the British Isles, I'll say, and that'll insult every Irishman in the audience, when the Irish came over the rest of the British Isles, because Britain was owned Ireland at the time. So anyway, I won't say something that really get them upset. But anyway, so when they came over, of course, they brought it here. And, back there, it kind of built whatever out. And so they actually was, until 1604, I believe it was, when Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament. That's when Halloween's kind of dropped, and Guy Fawkes Day on the 5th of November, and so the 5th of November, that became, the British thing to get excited about, with fireworks and stuff, and in some ways more stuff than Halloween. So, and then of course the commercialization came in. And, it started early, and then, it started in the 1900s. And so a lot of things that we think, for Christmas or Halloween actually just really didn't start. There's a lot of things that, started well before. And so, it's just fascinating.
It's all, you go so far back, and you see how many cultures, how similar they all are, and of course, anywhere that the church goes in, they try to amalgamate the traditions, because it's easier to make the locals of the newly conquered land blend in, and eventually they just sort of, change it over, right?
Oh yeah, and then of course in the Middle Ages it changed because of the fact that the pagan idea of wise women then became, and I forget the name of the first guy who wrote the first book. It was not King James II, excuse me, of England, but he wrote this missive that was even before the Pope wrote Malleus Maleficarium. He was a nut job. And so what happened was Halloween really died out because then the Christians turned everything into demonology. So they then changed Satan or Lucifer into Satan. So they gave him a really big, makeup and changed his whole thing. He wasn't just somebody who sat on your shoulder and tried to get you to do bad things, which is what he actually is. He became this force that was everywhere, particularly in women. And so then you bring in the chauvinism, and then you bring in the sexuality part of it, because of course they had to have them naked when they were interrogated. And then you bring in the economic part, and then you bring in the fact that, a lot of the crops were actually contaminated with stuff that would make them hallucinate. So everything came together in the Middle Ages. You had the king, and all this and it just so. Halloween, that's why Halloween died. It suddenly became, the thing of demons. It's the same way as today, not today precisely, but even 20 years ago and back, near-death experiences, deathbed visions were thought to be demons, and ghosts were thought to be demons of some kind. And so, yeah, it stayed until we kind of overrode that with how the commercialization of Halloween took care of this whole idea, silly idea of witches on brooms and this kind of thing, and taking over some people. And it's related to the fairies as well. You can trace it with and then with ghosts, and now with aliens and all that, all have similar behavior.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it is. And it's fascinating, because it's sleep paralysis. And so anyway, it starts. And back then, excuse me, of course, they would think that demons were around. And now, of course, what happened was, of course, books were written in the 70s by PhDs. I'll very quickly talk about NDEs. It was done by reputable people. Then you had the people that wrote in any good old story, this in the light, that in the light, and all that kind of crap. And somehow, Christians saw that and thought, money can be made. Evangelicals, I'll bet, and fundamentalists. So then all of a sudden, near-death experiences were real. And deathbed visions were real. You were seeing something from the other side. So they really got into the thing.
That was like a big wave too, right? In the 70s. Yeah. It was like EVPs, like scientists doing recordings in graveyards and all kinds of stuff. Like it became a real movement.
And that's the thing that makes me cry now. They were respected for that and for 100 or 200 years before, because these people were trying to understand. And then we've had the internet, and then we've had the TV. And so that's why I put analytical parapsychologists, because that's what I do. I analyze parapsychology and cryptozoology and thanatology, which is what has to do with death and dying. But I mean, this whole thing happened way back with Halloween. Somebody came in and and then somebody else came in and took some of what they believed and put it together with theirs, and that's how we've got Halloween. And
I think it was easy to lump. There's always been a fascination with death, and whether it's death of the winter solstice, putting everything to bed, and then we've got the summer solstice, or in and around spring.
Beltane. Yeah,
Yes, and bringing it back up. It's a cycle, death, and they look at certain cycles as the dead come in at certain times. They will
exactly.
give us messages. Our ancestors will protect us, and then there are those who like the trickery, right? Like you have to be, so yeah, I mean, when you start just mismashing everything, that's where it gets confusing, and
Yes,
and
very.
and then that's to me that was like the whole thing, getting into some of these traditions, and you're getting into again the jack-o'-lantern, right? You're getting into
Yeah,
there's a whole story behind that,
yeah,
Stingy Jack, or is it Stingy
yep.
Jack? I think of it, that whole
And
thing.
and Jack always stood for somebody you did not know.
Yeah,
Um, so the 1800s, you'll see a lot of Jacks, Jack
yeah,
O'Lantern, Jack Spring Hill Jack, and
yeah.
in the 1880s, particularly 1888, there
Hmm.
was the most famous Jack of all, Jack the
Hmm.
Ripper. And
Yes.
so, which I've written 3 books on, but haven't
Hmm.
published them yet.
Yeah.
So, but wait, they're coming out.
Hmm.
But Jack was so Jack O'Lantern, that was the natural thing you would put when they wanted
Hmm.
to, they wanted to give it a name. And
Hmm.
so the two things mixed together.
Hmm.
Turnip became a much easier, pumpkin
Hmm.
to do, and it became a Jack O' Lantern.
Hmm.
And the light goes in, and I mean, there we
Well,
go.
right, you carve, people started carving these faces to basically ward
Exactly.
off evil spirits. So again, it's the death and the fear of
Yep.
what can come in. And as people
And
immigrated over to
they
the
don't
New World,
realize it's
yeah,
they don't realize they're doing the same thing that the Celts did thousands of years
yeah,
ago.
mhm,
Lighting up essentially what stands for a bonfire. The light
mhm,
inside the jack o' lantern,
mhm,
and so then
yeah,
the spirits
mhm,
will stay away or either come or whatever. But it's mostly to ward off the dead.
mhm,
And it's interesting. Millennium, the show, did a thing about that,
mhm,
and one where it was said that Christmas Eve, certain people could see who's going to die in the year to come,
mhm, yeah,
and actually, Lance
mhm,
Henriksen, his character saw which he just got,
mhm,
friendly with again. He saw his father walking down the street,
mhm,
and it's very good. It's the Christmas one, and I watch it every Christmas.
mhm,
But so anyway, that everybody's sort of doing that. The jack o' lantern, the
mhm.
reviving or continuing that whole idea of spirits and trying to keep them away.
Yeah, part
And
of like renewal.
yeah, exactly. In a
Yeah.
sense, it is, because November
Mm,
1st, then, besides the religious thing, let's take that apart. Even religious people, but everybody else, goes to church or doesn't. November. Oh my God, November. It's just so brown.
mm,
You know, everything has died.
mhm.
Usually,
Yeah.
I
Mhm,
have been, raking up leaves in December,
mhm,
in the 2010s when Mom, I was taking care of Mom, and I was raking leaves in December, and at that time, snowstorms didn't start till the last week of January, and that went on
mhm,
for 3 or 4 years. It was great.
mm,
But anyway, yeah, November is very much a dreary month, and I think
mhm,
that's why Christmas has kind of creeped in to
mhm,
give light to November, because it was completely different than working at the harvest, you
mhm,
know, getting it ready, storing it properly so it would last, and
mm,
you would make sure that you butchered your
mhm,
animals, and that
mhm,
you salted them. Salt was a very big thing they
mhm,
had to know
mhm.
about, and in a way, I think salt then somehow jumped over to being the superstition about salt.
Sure,
But
that's a whole
you
other
know
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
the superstitions. But I mean,
so
realistically too, it's believed, like the veil is thinnest at this time of the year, and this is like when, all of the dead come forward. Whereas there's a really big ancient belief that it's actually at the end of December.
Yeah.
It's not this time of the year.
Yeah, it's amazing how they fought and which one won. You would think the Halloween or November 1st, but Halloween would have won. But it became December 31st instead, and that won out. And so, but Halloween still stayed. It didn't go anywhere, and it has until now. It's the commercialization of it now has made sure that it's going to live for a very long time. And we're going to forget, the Irish brought it over, and it was originally turnips, and then it changed to pumpkins. And
I think pumpkins were also more abundant on this side of the world than turnips.
Exactly.
It was just something that was easier.
Yep. And probably after your break, because it's 10 or 11:01.
Oh, we're still.
Yeah, we can go a little deeper into pumpkins and stuff.
Yeah, there's no break. We're going straight, so go for it.
Oh, are we good?
Yeah.
Good. But they'll see me look at my notes here, though.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Go crazy. So while you're doing that, Adrian had asked about witches. Well, witches stems, the image of the witch stems from the pagan goddess, which was known as the crone, who was known as the old one, right? The earth mother. So the crone symbolized wisdom and change and turning of the seasons. So you when you break them down, you've got to break down with a lot of different, the broomstick, the cauldron, like there's a lot in there. But I just wanted to address her questions while you were checking your stuff.
Well, I'll check it
over here.
First, I want to tell you, when I used to go to my grandmother's place in River Bourgeois when I was a child, there was always a broom across the doorstep. Because the whole thing, the superstition is a witch can't cross a broom that's laid over on a doorstep.
That's
now, because they're supposed to be able to fly on one, but if it's across the door, witches can't be. So I can go way back to when I was a kid, and in a sense, I was programmed to be a parapsychologist because of this.
So, could I ask you what the nationality was for your grandmother? Like, what's your nationality?
Well, she was French.
So she brought this over, like from that belief system. Then
actually, they came over from Newfoundland, but my grandfather, who I never knew, he was French. She spoke French fluidly, but I'm not sure. We have Irish, French.
Irish. There you go.
So in our
I also have Irish and French. It makes us spicy, Darryl.
What was her maiden name? Bork was when she got married, or Burke. Was the name. And the funny thing is, when I went to do the show Shadowhunter, and we were up in the begins with C, in the French shore up on top of New Brunswick, pardon me. And I had an Acadian guy, and I'm an Acadian actually too. Yeah. Anyway, he went back to the 1600s to look to see where, our land was and where his was. And guess what? There was one land in between us, but we were almost next door neighbors. And that was so funny to actually go, and find somebody we don't know. And we were talking about ghost ships. We weren't even talking about, this. And, so it's funny. You start tracing things back, you end up finding out an awful lot of things that that you don't know, that was never mentioned. And the same thing was with my family. Nobody told me about I don't think anybody told me about that, why the broom was there. I think I was told it had to be there. I think they kind of poo-pooed it for me.
Right. Right.
As a kid. And but they never told me about the ghost that was upstairs outside the room I stayed in. It was a light, actually, a blue light. And I think I saw it one night. I thought it was somebody else, just had a lantern or, something. So, Yep, I probably did. But anyway, they didn't. And of course, my mother didn't tell me about the house on Edgewood that was haunted either.
I think
Until
everything's haunted out there.
well, this was on Edgewood, just a few blocks from where I am now, actually, and I want that back. Anyway, I want that.
Give
I
it
want
back.
that house back.
Yeah.
But anyway, she was talking about the fact that between the death of her brother and his burial, she would hear 3 knocks under the bed, and then she woke. It happened the 2 days, and then she woke. When did it happen again? And she woke Dad up, and he actually heard it too. But I didn't hear this until the last year of her life. And it's why I asked her, you knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And very often she did not like having the bedroom in that room. She would have it in the other room, in the room which she died, which was my favorite room before I ended up upstairs at 12. Because it had, 2 windows, whereas the other one was kind of dreary. So I can see how it might be haunted. But anyway, so I said to Mom, you never thought that, I might be interested in knowing this?
Yeah.
And kind of shrugged, right? And, it's like, I could have, I don't know, I might be able to do borrow some equipment. And if it happened.
You know what? It would have maybe changed your whole belief system, having an experience.
Who knows? Now, last night I saw a ghost. Remember the last time I was on, I told you about the ghost I saw at the Atlantic Room at the Westin down here, hotel. The most interesting thing is what happened to me last night. So I'm laying half on the bed, but the feet aren't quite touching the floor. But you know how you sometimes like this, and I was watching something and waiting for it to end so I could go do whatever I had to go do. So and I got the remote and the whatever. All of a sudden, because the last time I talked to you, I said that I felt there were a couple of things I was more ready to believe now than before. I wasn't such a brutal believer. And actually, I couldn't remember what a couple of things were, which unfortunately kind of deadened the impact of my and I thought about them about 2 months ago. I should have wrote them down because of course I can't remember what they are now anyway. But I think this place is haunted anyway. It's ever since I walked into it, I have not liked being in here. And it went beyond the fact that it's not my home. My home's on Edgewood Avenue, excuse me. But it wasn't just the fact it took me, 3 years to get over it and all that. But anyway, so that's fine. And I think I told you before about the hallucination I had because of anxiety of the black dog with the red eyes jumping over the bed, which, of course, being a parapsychologist, I thought that was wild. And since I studied as a therapist, so I could look at it from both ways, like, which part of the brain just activated, and sent the dog. And took the dog from another area of my brain and then went to a third part of my brain and the sensory part and sent the dog across the bed. I just, so as a master's level counselor, I was going to be a PhD in psychology, but Mr. Pandemic took care of all my plans. So I could look at it like that, but I was really cool because, of course, in Nova Scotia, we have had a lot of black dog sightings. And so that was cool. However, so we go back to last night, before we get back to, excuse me, our holidays. And so I'm just, doing this and waiting. And then all of a sudden, the bed it's the same thing that happened at the Atlantic Room when I saw the boy go under and pull up, the sheet that was over the table and go under the table. Well, the real tablecloth never moved, but I saw the one from whenever he first did this. So the same thing happened last night. All of a sudden, there's a woman sitting next to me on the bed. And interestingly, that she had a white blouse on. I would say thin. Trying to remember, and of course, this will be the actual memory I'm talking about, because it will change as I keep thinking about it over the years. And she had pants that were, I think, like more of a beige or something. And then she was turned away, and there was something else. Her hair was almost like she had a something, something sticking out of the back of her hair, or the part of her hair. She had something special done to it.
Okay.
And then she got up, turned to go, because the TV, there was the bureau with the TV. So she's sitting here. Got to remember the camera. She got up and like that. Lasted 2 seconds maybe. And, I just look at it and I'm thinking, okay.
That was a thing.
Yeah, it was a thing. And of course,
I
couldn't do anything even if I had all the equipment. If she showed up all the time, then I would, because I'd have it all the time.
Maybe it's just not meant to. Maybe, if you have something that it has awareness and intelligence, maybe they don't want to be poked and prodded. Maybe you're just going to get that $1 million experience when you least expect it, and you're in a vulnerable state.
I knew her. I don't know how I knew her, but I knew her. And that was the interesting thing. And that was the thing that kind of made me wonder if it was a hallucination. But hallucination or ghost, technically they're both the same thing. If you want to talk etymology. But anyway, I mean, so we can talk again about how I'm coming around to a few things that maybe I might have been brutally saying, okay, show me the evidence and show it to me now. Don't show me a pile of horse manure and tell me it's a unicorn. This kind of thing.
Sure.
But
so you laid out your demands essentially.
I said, tell me a story's nice. That's very nice. And I'm collecting them for Ghost Project Canada so we can do an analysis of what people believe across the country, and then down to the States and over to England. And that's going to be quite the study. And, I've got so many books, I could actually do most of Ghost Project Canada. Just, if I wasn't bored to tears typing it in Cell. That's why I need a staff to be able to do this. But after a while, you've heard everything, and you get kind of not cynical, but you just get kind of you don't get excited, and you don't. Same thing with the Bigfooters; they stopped running out every time somebody said they saw a Bigfoot. It would have to be something special, and the same thing with me. And last Saturday, I went to an allegedly haunted house. It was the oldest house in Halifax and the second oldest house in Canada, I think, at the Quaker House we have. And they told a couple stories, and the stories I knew already because I'd written about them. And so anyway, one woman, she said, "Why?" She was talking about Hella Creighton, and I just was leaning up against the wall, and she wasn't even looking at me. She knew I was smiling. She said, "Why are you smiling?" I said, "Because my publisher wanted me to be the male version of Helen Creighton." Darryll Walsh, right? Then she knew who I was. And I was recognized, and it was very nice. I'm always nice when people recognize me. I'm not, like so many Canadian authors that are very well known, but we will not talk about names. But I knew somebody who worked for them in a certain capacity, and talk about a bunch of a-holes. So anyway, I'm not. I appreciate the fact somebody liked my books or likes me, wants to do that. So anyway, we were talking about a haunted house just almost across the street, So everything, I had investigated that house actually for CBC, and back in 1999, I think it was. So they're telling stories, and that's fine. I'm enjoying it. I had brought my friends, and so they were very excited about it. So we're sitting down at the second or third. Anyway, we started at what's called the kitchen thing, because there was a grate. The kitchen was right underneath, and there was a grate in the floor for the heat to come up. So it was called the kitchen bedroom, and then the addition was called the kitchen pantry, I think it was. And anyway, it was all confusing to us, and every group started at a different place. So we started up top, and we went around, and so we were talking to the blonde lady, nice blonde lady. She was no back reversed. We did talk about a lot. Her and I kind of got off topic, so to speak. But the one before, she was the third. The second lady, she was dressed up as a witch, just like the fourth one who recognized me. She was dressed up as a witch, and she's just talking about the house and everything, and the feelings she has in the house. And I'm paying attention now. Before, I never paid attention, but I'm paying attention now about feelings. Now, I still understand the psychological possibilities, and that they may very well be it. And then she says about what happens to her. She says when she comes in, and I think only one other person heard, when she comes in, now this is an old house, 1783. She hears a man with heavy boots walking across the floor that I had just walked over, and it creaks just a little bit for me, right? So, but I mean, you can tell you're on old wood. And then she hears the boom, 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 boom as somebody walks into the kitchen bedroom right above our heads, and which I had just walked over, a minute and a half ago, 2 minutes ago. So I give her experience a lot more possibility than I might have normally, because I was there, and I know exactly where he walked, and I knew it was creaky floor, and she went and she had to take the alarm off when she went in. So obviously nobody could be there unless they were standing still for 12 hours. Or did I think Robert Redford in Sneakers, he had to walk a certain speed not to set off the motion sensors. So it made a lot of sense. And I said to her, I'm really going to talk to you later. And actually, I have an envelope. I have to, I have to order a new printer, but I have an envelope ready to go back to them with a letter that I'd like to speak to them, because they've all had something, and I'd like to have a better, talk with them type of thing, and see the house, the whole house when it's lit, because it was practically, dark. And then I get, so that's become a case for me. And when I actually, for the Center for Parapsychological Studies in Canada, when I went down to get our some of our case files, and it was like I almost got a hernia. The box was so big and heavy. So I'm going to have to add this to it when I finish. But yeah, I'm more open to things and to things that are a little bit, or might be a little bit off, or might be just people might not think much about it. Most people think, okay, you hear footsteps, it's just the creaking of an old house, whatever. But I just walked on that floor, and I'm 6'2", and I got a little bit of weight, but mostly I'm a slim guy. So I'm about 175, let's say. And behind me at the same time was Christy or Frank. So we were all walking out on that floor, and it did not make any noise that anybody could understand or misunderstand to be footsteps. So anyway, yeah, that was what interested me. And then of course I have this thing last night again, and this is after I was doing my class on cryptozoology, and at the end of it, I ended up too early, but I knew that. So too early. So, I'm trying to get them to talk, and they're, anyways, one person asked me about ghosts, of course, and about here. And I started to look at, the apartment, because I'm in the corner of the living room with the standard, back, which a lot of people try to make them look, really intelligent. I don't try to do that because, Anyway, so I'm in the corner, and actually that's the balcony with the light on. That's cool. You see it, and I'm just looking. The kitchen is there. There's the not much of a hallway to the door, and not much of a hallway leading to the bedroom or the bathroom. And so, I'm looking as I'm talking. I'm looking at the place, and that's when I realized, I don't like it here. Yeah, but it's not because it's not home. It's because there's something weird in this apartment. Now, when I moved in, this apartment building was 2 years old. They were different supers. And I said to them, I think an ambulance came to the Lion's Head, the old Lion's Head or something. And I said, thank God he doesn't, they don't come here. And one of the supers turned to me and said, "Oh, you wonder? This has been here a few times." And it had only been open to maybe 3 years. And so there's new supers now. I bumped into them today, but it wasn't in a way that you could actually carry out a conversation like, how many people died in this, since I moved in,
Oh boy.
Is this apartment one of them? I know 2 gay guys had it just before me. There's a lot of turnover in some apartments, and that might be why. Anyway, the 2 gay guys, it was like a museum, so it was very easy to tell. And the super at the time told me, it was 2 men. I said, yeah, I bet it is. You knew it just, everything was perfect and museum quality. They had a lot of bookcases, and they had a lot of things that gay guys would have in their apartment. And so takes one to know one, as the old saying goes. And so anyway, and then they showed me an empty one upstairs. So anyways, I took this one, and I shouldn't have. I should have took the one upstairs, but that's fine. I kind of want to go back to 301, the one originally I was at, just because I've gotten really uncomfortable with this apartment, and I stay in the bedroom even though it's now mine. I've made it look extremely nice for people to come in, sit down. I'm not up to those 2 guys' level of, having it looking very nice, but it looked pretty nice. But I don't come in the living room, and I've never liked the living room. Now, the irony was I felt the bedroom was my castle, and I had the door locked. And there's a tiny little hall where there's a closet, and then it comes out to the bed, major bedroom. I have hang there now. I have curtains, gray curtains that match the walls perfectly. And, so I'm making this barrier, and I'm feeling very secure. And the ghost dog, that was fine. I knew because it was just it was only like a year after, a couple years after Mom died, and I had to do a couple things that I never expected to do in my life. But I was screwed out of an inheritance, and screwed a lot about the house, and so I didn't come out with a lot of money. So it lasted for a bit, and then I had to do what you have to do when money runs out. And so anyway, but that bedroom still stayed, stayed. And then last night comes. So I knew what the dog, and I think it was like a priest or a monk or something. So I knew they were caused by my brain, because they were the two things I liked the best. So it picked. Now, if they picked something else, then I would say, okay, well, that was interesting. But I knew that was the year that I had to do the two things. I really don't want to say the words, but everybody can guess what I've had to do when you know. So that was the year. So I understand that. So the brain, excuse me, there is no way at all that woman appeared because she was known to me. I think she reminds me of somebody I knew like 40 years ago, but she had I think, because I never really saw her face on, I think she had a very common face, which is probably why I'm thinking I might know her. But if I know her, she was a nobody from, I don't know, school, elementary or something. She might have been from, you know.
So she's this era, basically.
Yeah.
She's
so
more modern times. Yeah. Which is interesting to me because you don't really see, you know, you hear people say, how come we don't see as many modern spirits as, you know, let's say Victorian spirits or older spirits?
Well, they're looking in the wrong places, for the one thing. You know, that's the major thing. They're not doing it right, and they're looking in the wrong way, just like Bigfooters. You know, the best way, if you want to find a Bigfooter, just go to bed at night. You know, that'll be fine. Go in the daytime. Ghosts go in the daytime. They're there in the daytime as well, if they're really ghosts. But there is this, you can still go in the dirty basement. I mean, you know, and you can film it, but maybe something might show up in the dirty basement in the daytime, you know, and I understand you have to work. So, you know, going to the basement in the daytime. But if you keep going at night, you're wasting your time, more or less. When you start to look at the, you know, the possibilities, all the reports, and as I said, and I did in the first paranormal symposium, are ghosts extinct? And I went through the history of ghosts, and I kind of ran out of time because I had 3 hours lectures for 75 minutes, so I had to really jump across the Middle Ages a bit, and but I had to come to now, and I said, listen, we don't see ghosts now. What we do is we have a recorder and we listen to white noise, and we pretend that we hear a voice, or maybe we do hear a voice and it's caused by whatever reasons it's caused by. You going to live?
I don't know. Maybe I become a ghost.
Make sure you show up. So,
I'll give you a fright.
So I said, you know, ghosts are extinct because the only way you can tell if there's a ghost is if you see one. Everything else can be accounted for in other ways. And unless it's something extreme that's happening, and that's rare. So actually, it's very funny that I should now start seeing ghosts when I never saw them before. You don't think? Oh, you want me to call 911? I don't have the address. But,
I'm all right. I'm all right.
But the whole thing is because of the fact that I don't like the way that is. You know, I like the fact I have all my hair, and so when it gets unparted, it bothers me. So I'm very vain. I never was, but anyway, Mom, I've turned into my mother. The thing is, sometimes you can't tell you've seen a ghost. You can walk right by a ghost. You know, it happened when we were shooting a show in 2020. One of the PAs walked up the stairs, walked and looked into the room that they were setting up or had set up for you know, for us to do an interview. She saw someone leaning over the haunted rocking chair, and the clothes were old, so she thought, well, okay, well, it's from, you know, the people that work in here. Somebody else walked by and thought there was somebody then sitting in the chair. So the ghost obviously turned and sat in the chair. So we come in and to do the thing, and we need the PA to do whatever. And and she now then tells us the story. And so the person we were interviewing got very uncomfortable because, there were 2 sightings of a ghost, which people should not have seen. And which I, of course, wanted to see. I hadn't seen a ghost that I know to that point in 2020. And so anyway, I thought it was wonderful. And but not the person that was working there that I was interviewing. Anyway, so after she left, I took copious amounts of pictures. I said, guys, can you not break everything down? And I can put this on Instagram or something, which I never did. If you need to go, cough or something or take.
I'm okay. We don't have that much time left. We're hitting on the 90-minute mark, which has been pretty traditional ending lately. So
I can carry on, anything.
Yes, that's okay. You got 10 minutes to go, man. Just go crazy.
Okay, I can talk about anything to cover your not being here. So that's fine.
There's no worries. I'm good. I'll just struggle along.
Yeah. Anyway, there's so many things. That you could talk about, but I love the process of the ancient Celts the best, because the whole idea that everybody in the town would put out the fire in their hearth so that the dead would not find their way home or find their way to a neighbor or just go to any house. So, I don't know how many houses that would be, but that would be fairly big. And if it was around one of the what we call religious sites, Stonehenge or even Standing Stones, it would be an awful lot. It could be 500, could be 1,000 people. But anyway, they did that, and then they all come together set a bonfire, sometimes with people, and they have their ceremony. The Lord of the Dead then is allowed to come and take the souls of those that departed, and he leaves, and then they know it's safe, so they relight, all their little stick, and they go back to their house. The bonfire is put out. They go back to their houses and restart their fireplaces. And there's, and that symbol is done. And not only does it take, it is to them, it really is the end of the year, because not only is the harvest done, the pigs have been slaughtered, everything is all set, and now all they have to do is try to get through the winter. And all they have to do is kind of shovel a bit. Everything else is done. And now they've had this process where the dead who have been watching them all year round, very likely, and maybe they've seen them, the dead are now finally gone. So they can relax, and it starts a new year. And then, of course, until the next person dies. And then it starts all over again. So regardless of Christianity or the Romans, they put their own stamp on it, but it always had this idea, at the core. And October 31st is actually celebrated in a few, but not many countries. And Britain actually is now getting into it, of course, because it's, money. But they are now getting into it, not just this Guy Fawkes. And then, oh, my God, we can have an October 31st one, too. We can have two holidays or two major things to get excited about. And, so it's the same thing that, our forefathers thousands of years ago thought, let's have a ceremony. And we have 2 of them before the winter comes, and we're going to end up hiding in the houses, type of thing. So it always had this symbolism, of death and renewal. And so even if you don't believe the death part and the Lord of the Dead and all this, you can't disbelieve the fact that they believed in it, and they went through this whole ritual, and they believed and it happened on October 31st, and it doesn't matter. But they also had something on November 1st as well, but it was a much smaller almost like having a service, at a church or something. November 1st did have some special meaning to them, but it was not as much as October 31st. I think it was mainly just welcoming the new year in, more so than, okay, last night we got rid of the old year. Now we're having the new year come in on November 1st. And so when the Romans decided they'd overtake some of the pagan things, and you just stop with the human sacrifice crap, they had their own
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta check my notes. Did I miss anything?
No, you got it.
The Christians I kind of missed. I could have talked more about the Christians, but actually I hadn't really talked a lot about the Christians, and I should actually put that into my lectures. So yeah, that's regardless of December 31st, and of course they can celebrate that now. We can celebrate that now. Kids can celebrate, and adults too. But we do bid different things than the children do.
Yeah, of course.
On December 31st, sometimes I'm in bed, but the odd time I get a phone call from an old friend or something, and so anyway, it'd be interesting. I think my contact information is there anyway. Somebody can give me I'm open if you want to call me on the end of the year, Halloween or Christmas Eve. Anyway, I'm not doing much else.
Well, we're down to our last few minutes because we're. So, what do you have coming up, and how can people find you?
That idea of how people can find you, because we've had some weirdos in the building over the last few months.
Well, I don't mean literally, but I mean like email or something like that.
Okay, well, you can go to ghostprojectcanada.wordpress.com. Now I have to renew it, so it'll become ghostprojectcanada.com. They never sent a letter to me for me to renew, and I just, my roommate was busy with his psychotic breakdown, so I really didn't think about that. But they can go to ghostproject.wordpress.com there, and they can talk to me ghostprojectcanada@gmail, or they can just get me at my name, Darryll Walsh. No, nothing else. On Facebook, but they can go to Darryll Walsh @gmx.com, and I'm trying to get away from Gmail. But
so there's a lot of options.
And on Facebook, I've got a bunch of I've got one for my almost all my books. I've got pages for that. There's also a group called Ghosts in Nova Scotia 10th Anniversary Edition. So there's one about closet cases. I call it Closet of Fear. It doesn't get many people looking at it, but I'll put stuff on it when I come across it, because I actually trained to be a therapy to people who were having problems coming to terms with their homosexuality. And that's why, in a way, I have a wasted life. But, I kind of put that aside. And so, 782-321-4849. So if you have a ghost or something, you can always talk to me.
And you're with Elliot this weekend at the Paranormal Symposium.
Elliot as well. And if I'm just going to stop that. God, I hate this thing. I've dropped it so much. I was just going to give thank you. Where is Elliot? Because he doesn't mind people calling either. So I will do that, and then I'll shut it off. Okay. He's also a 782. Oh, don't do that. 414. Freak off, you stupid thing. Okay, 414-4666. So that's his number for if you want to get a hold of him at PPRI and Ghost Project Canada, we're together with them, and CPSC is all together. So, but either me or him.
All
I
right.
always end up going over the thing, and I'm sure that your producer just hates having me on because I'm always
No. Yeah, I try to keep it. I try to keep it as close to the
get
90
me
minutes.
on for Christmas. If anybody, I know you're probably
Oh, I'm
booked, but
booked. Oh yeah, I'm
if
booked solid.
anybody
Yeah.
backs off,
Yeah.
because somebody might back off,
Mhm.
you give me a call. I can do this with 5 minutes notice.
All right.
Yeah,
You're on my standby list then.
yeah,
Uh,
because I have the Christmas we did was that awful the
mm.
one where, and guess what, my back went out today, but I could not take a muscle relaxant on any
Yeah,
painkillers.
no
But
worries.
that
No
day I
worries.
did, and I had that horrible
Mm.
time. So we never did do the Christmas thing, and
Mm.
Christmas ghosts and
Yeah, the
hauntings and everything
Victorians and
is
yes,
real. Yes, the
it's a lot of
Victorians.
fun. Yes.
So I can always start from the 31st of the Victorians and take them up to the December 31st and talk about, compare them and contrast and all that.
Sure. I'll keep you
Anyway,
on my
everybody,
list. Yes.
thank you, Michelle, for having me
Thank
on
you.
here.
Yes.
Goodbye, everybody.
And we
And
will
I
be
hope,
in touch.
yes, very
All
much
right.
so.
All right, my friend.
You
Good
can be,
night.
we have to talk anyway about that thing we talked
Well,
about.
yeah, we'll get in
Vaguely.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll
All
talk
right.
about that anyway. All
All
right.
right. All right.
Bye, everybody. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Thanks. Same to you.
Thank you. Well, everybody, thank you all for tuning into tonight's show. You guys in chat are always awesome. So thank you. Thank you. Tuesday, Beyond the Outer Realm special feature. Ira Wolfnenson joins me to discuss her incredible journey. Born into a Luciferian world, decades long occult practitioner, and it all changed after an amazing experience with the Blessed Mother. She had then become a Marian and is now in service to Christ. You're not going to want to miss this. I promise you. Wednesday, Outer Realm, the new Conjuring movie, of course, is in theaters. And Maxim Furyk returns to discuss his latest book, The Smurl Haunting, the day Ed and Lorraine Warren came to town. So you know that's going to be good. Thursday, open discussion, Wayne Mallow's return for our All Hallows Eve segment. And we are going to, I promise, get into a deep discussion on, of course, the origins and traditions of Halloween and how does the rest of the world celebrate it. We're going to hit everything. So a list as long as my arm, maybe two, of things we're going to talk about. And then if time allows, we'll get into some haunted tales. So we're going to keep it very interesting. So thank you all. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Good night.